Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be all about 28 years later the Bone Temple, but a spoiler review. If you haven't seen the spoiler-free review, go and check that out. What I wanted to do is just leave it about a week or two, let this film sink in, let everyone watch it, and then I just want to kind of go over some of the details which I wasn't able to talk about in the previous video. So let's get right into it. So starting out, I want to talk about how this film begins, and one thing that can be said, and I did say this in the other video, is how each film in this franchise feels so different from the other. And I think one of the worst things you can do going in is have a level of expectation of what you're going to see. Because I imagine then when those people who didn't like 28 Years Later were expecting to see something very, very similar to 28 Weeks Later, because obviously the virus had progressed across France and beyond, to then have it pulled back to the UK. For some people, I can understand that you probably were like, oh, that's not the film I thought I was going to get. And so you get a very, very different film. And then when we got this film, The Bone Temple, even I went in with some expectation, thinking we were going to see certain types of things, certain things happening. I mean, all you have to do is refer to my trailer breakdown video of 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, to find out, although I kind of got some of the beats right, some of my main guesses as to where the story might go were completely wrong. And so when I sat down, the only thing that I found a little bit like, okay, I need to see this again to sort of make sure it all fits together with the other film, and that was just tonally. And that's one of the things people had problems with the previous film, was how it kind of tonally jarringly shifts right at the very end of the film, where you get kind of like a Teletubbies vibe and a Power Rangers vibe to it. And again, even I sat there on that first watching going, what's going on? But the more I watch it, the more that completely makes sense, because it's obviously tying into things that you saw at the very beginning of that film. But going to Bone Temple, the thing I found jarring at first when I watched it was the fact that we were hearing lots of Duran Duran music and Iron Maiden and things like this. And the only reason you feel like that is because you haven't been subjected to that, or to that level, in the other films. But having watched this film now more than once, the more I watch it, I absolutely love it. And one of the biggest strengths of this film is how much it progresses the story. We've seen how the infected attack and how humans survive, and now we're seeing how the virus is being tackled, how it's being treated by Dr. Kelson. And what's interesting is he's tackling what is the most dangerous amongst the infected, the alphas. They are the key to the salvation, they are the key to the cure. Now, the new thing we got in this film was the Jimmy Gang, and they were very good on screen. I mean, this is another tonal shift as well, how funny this film is. It's got that real British dark twisted humour about it that I did laugh at, but it never becomes funny to the point where this turns into a comedy. Jack O'Connell's performance as Sir Jimmy Crystal is very, very good. He had me laughing more than once. That scene at the end where he's got Kelson in on his act to convince the others that Kelson's the devil and he's the son of the devil. That bit is all so good. With the Iron Maiden song, it's fantastic. And what's really also interesting about the Jimmy Gang is, once again, they show, and what these films like to show, is how the brutality of man can be just as worse as what the infected are. You got that with the original film, we got that with the army men, and with this one, of course, you got Satanists. I really like the fact that Jimmy Crystal's character was so manipulative to those around him, making them think that he is the son of the devil, and how it comes to all blow up in his face at the end, because he uses Kelson to try and convince, because he's losing some of them, further try and convince that he is who he says he is. And then Kelson, because he sees Spike, he's like, I can't allow this to go any further, because Kelson's been asked to spread that message further of hate and violence and death, and he can't go on any further. And so he then says, okay, I require a sacrifice. I really thought that bit was really, really interesting. And to then see Jimmy Crystal at the end on the upside down cross in that sacrifice, it just kind of sealed the deal for it, considering how nasty he had been to people throughout this film. What's also interesting is you never actually see Jimmy Crystal perform any of these acts. And I think that's done on purpose, because it's showing how manipulative he is to those around him, that he gets them to do his dirty work. And it's only a quick shot, it does make you jump when it happens, when Jimmy Crystal is upside down looking around, and then he gets attacked, which I think that must be Samson that does that. Really like the scene on the train where Samson, after receiving the treatment from Kelson, goes aboard the train and then more of his humanity starts to come out. You can see him going back to being a human. And then it's like the other infected can sense it, they can smell it, they can see it. Because as he's walking up to that train, you can see some of the infected trailing behind him. And I think they're already starting to twig that he's different now, he's not one of them anymore. And then that fight scene on the train where he's literally, it's just carnage, it's really, really good. And once again, it shows off the brutality of what you see all throughout this film. One of the worst cases of it is probably that scene in the farmhouse where people are getting butchered and things like that. Oh, thankfully, they do pull back on that. I wouldn't really like to really delve into seeing as much as I can of that as what some other horror films probably would. But they show enough to get across enough of the gore and the violence of what they're actually doing. Just to further add to the point I was making about how this one and the previous film complement each other is how much we sort of explore Kelson's character. I thought that was really, really good. You can see the years on the man's face weighing him down. You can sense how lonely he really is. I didn't really get that much in the last film, but now because I got that in this film, you know, when you go back and watch 28 years later, you just feel like you could get more out of that watching. You could get more out of watching his character as you're introduced to him. And as well as Samson as well, there he is on an absolute blind rampage in the last film to see where he's got to in this film. Very, very good. Okay, now let's get down to the bit that most people want to talk about, and that is the very last scene of the movie where we get to see Jim again from 28 days later, played by Cillian Murphy. To be honest, as far as my expectations go, this is exactly what I expected going in. I didn't think we were going to be introduced to him halfway through this film. I knew it was going to be right at the end, just like we met Jimmy Crystal in the last film. And it didn't disappoint. It's nice to see we're picking right back up where he was at the end of the first film. Now, I know some people are like, well, they didn't get rescued, he's stuck there. But in these films, I never really got a hopeful vibe, so I never really expected them to have really got rescued. But yeah, they're on that farm. You even see the car there from the first one. And then when we go into the house, we're introduced to what I presume is his daughter. But no Selena, no Hannah, where are they? One thing I did spot is you do see Selena's jacket hanging up on the wall, and it's got on a coat hanger, and her neck scarf. That's displayed there, which, to be honest, seeing it there doesn't really tell you that much. That could be there. Jim's daughter could be now wearing that jacket, or Selena could be out and she's maybe out collecting supplies and she's to come back, and so she actually does still wear that coat, or it could just be hung on the wall as an act of remembrance of some sort. Who knows? As for Hannah, I didn't see any clues whatsoever to say whether she was still there or not. Let me know in the comments below, did you spot anything in that house that I haven't mentioned here? I really would be interested to know. So now all we've got to do is anxiously wait to see if they actually will make the last film in the trilogy of 28 years later. Now, of course, they've said they've greenlit the film, it's going to be made, but I've heard that in the past, and then the film comes out, it's a big box office flop, and they decide to pull the plug on it. I really, really hope that does not happen, because I need to see the third film in this trilogy, as I'm sure most of you want to see it too, especially as we've been teased with Cillian Murphy's character right there at the end. To see that as the very final moment in this franchise would be a little bit disappointing. In fact, it would be very disappointing. So I really hope that green light means they are 100% making it, and we can look forward to seeing that film sometime in the future, maybe next year or the year after. So there we go, guys, that's the spoiler talk on 28 years later, The Bone Temple. Let me know in the comments below something you want to talk about that really was a highlight of the movie for you. If you made it this far in the video, do leave us a like and subscribe, and of course you can check out my channel and the playlist, which include movie reviews, movie rankings, movie locations, and lots more. I want to thank you again for watching, and until next time, I'll see you at the movies.